Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs, your award-winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. If you're listening to the show for the first time, where have you been? We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're, of course, on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook too. And joining me, look, we've got three of our great returning regular guests here to Last Word on Spurs. They haven't gone hiding despite Spurs' current form. I'll let you be the judge after that in terms of what they give you in terms of a prediction at the end of it. Of course, we are here to look ahead to Manchester City to come away. Just an easy game as Spurs head into what's going to be a tricky navigation of December. And we're on the back of no points November. So all to come during this show. I'm joined by, let's say, three great returning guests the last one on Spurs. Back on our screens. It's been a while. Mamma Mia's very own, Blue's very own. It can only mean Antony Costa's back on the screen. Ant, how are you, bud? You okay?
I'm good. Nice to be on the show for once. I haven't been on this for ages. So
I know, mate.
It's good to see some familiar faces, and I'm sure we'll have our little debates, but all fine and banter, and I can't wait.
Absolutely, Rick. Rick, absolutely, Ant. You pick your good times to come back on. Obviously, just in the middle of a mini crisis. Many will say it's not a crisis, but like I say, we'll be delving into that for sure during this show. Back alongside me, delighted to have her on Last Word on Spurs once again. Late call up. Jason, bless him, is currently in the midst of chopping down trees in the northwest of London. Good on him. We've got Uncle Christina Zandes back. Chris, how are you? Thank you for blessings for your presence. You well?
What are you talking about? It's Jason. It's me.
You had me into the glasses.
I could do anymore, you know.
Oh man, bless him. No, I'm really sorry for anyone that was looking forward to having him on, but you got me instead now. But yeah. But I'm really sorry as well. The lighting's absolutely appalling right now, so I look like a ghost every now and then. So apologies, but I'm not really looking forward to this one.
Listen, first of all, you've said that all season. It tells you the kind of mood we're back in here on Last One on Spurs for that reason. One man we're delighted to have back on here who's been escaping the post-match shows, luckily, by giving us outrageous preview post-match predictions, I must say. We've got the wonderful Skating on Ice's very own and Dancing on Ice's very own. It can only be Mr. Ricky J. Norwood is back in the house. Ricks, you're smiling. How are you, my man?
I'm very well. I'm pleased to be back on, guys. I'm pleased to be back on. Oh, my gosh. And with the 4-0, all right, look, I predicted we would beat Chelsea 4-0, all right? And you know what? I think we was on course to beating them 4-0. If what we do it ain't what we do. You know, we got the 2 red cards, we kicked ourselves in the backside, we got the injury, and then it all fell to pieces. But come on, we were playing well up until that point. Do you know what I mean? And I think we was on course for a good 4-0
We was
bashing of the Chelsea. But unfortunately, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm back on to be predicting this mad game against Man City, and I can't wait to get into it.
Likewise, my man. Rick, it would be not right of me to not ask you how things are going. Many want those daily updates. You're giving us some of them. Don't go on Instagram. You are giving us some updates in terms of the ice. Rick, how are things getting on? We're obviously countdown into January now, not far away as we head in to December. Any little bit of update, Rick, you can hint to viewers and listeners how you're getting on?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting better. Day by day, it's getting better. So today we were actually kind of breaking down and learning our routine, our very first routine, which is really kind of scary at the same time. So we're breaking that down, trying to get that together. But, you know, as you kind of start to do one thing right, you end up doing 4 things wrong because you're concentrating on the new thing. So it's been a bit of a mishmash, but I'm hopeful, I'm confident. We've still got a couple of weeks to kind of nail this down. And I think as soon as I know what direction we're going in and what way I'm then going in next. And plus, as Antony told me from day one, like bending my knees, as long as I'm bending my knees properly, then I think we'll be all right. It's a fun routine. It's a fun track. And it's been amazing, man. Every single day has been amazing. Even the tough days have been amazing because the next day you get back up and you go again. And do you know what I mean? Like, yes, you're going to fall. Of course, you're going to fall. But falling ain't that bad. It's all about how you get back up in life.
No more injuries.
Do you know what I mean? No more injuries. We're going to keep it going. But yeah, we're still having fun. It's still a buzz every single day. Yeah, it's Ricky frozen.
Bless you. I was wondering, he's back. As you know, to me, as if there's... I mean, you went to me... Listen, when you went to me, as you know, I was thinking, God, don't ask me, as you know. I mean, this is the guy that fell off his chair after the Aston Villa defeat. I don't want to be sitting here trying to give any kind of dance and advice on this show. One man who I had the pleasure of seeing recently... No, just the one, Sam. Just the one. Don't encourage it. We're trying to forget about it here. You're bringing it back up. Just the one man that I did see recently, bless him, who was most certainly fantastic. No. You conveniently missed that one. I think that would have ruined your reputation for life. You wouldn't have got anything after that. You would have been finished. One man who I did have the pleasure of seeing recently, if I can get to this bloody sentence, I had one of the pleasure of seeing Antony, bless him, in Mamma Mia. And how are you, mate? A busy December for you going on.
Yeah.
Like I say, we can't afford any injuries because you two are out there performing.
We are. Well, Ricky knows all about Panto season, so it's non-stop at the moment. It's like 9:30 till 8 at night every day. So we've got to put a whole show together in just under 10 days. So I open next week at the Beck Theatre in Hayes. And yeah, just work. And
Can they get their tickets now, mate? Can they get their tickets now, Anthony? Just out of interest.
They can, my brother. They can. They can get tickets to the Panto and get the tickets to Mamma Mia, the party at the O2.
Amazing. We will put those links in the description below for sure. Right, guys, we are going to start as we mean to go on. It's a busy last word on Spurs, to be fair. But I will just have a quick recap as to where Spurs are at the moment. Obviously, Chris, weekend wasn't to be for us. Villa leapfrogging Spurs into the top four as goals from Pau Torres and Ollie Watkins earned the visitors a 2-1 comeback win after Giovanni Lo Celso opened up the scoring. Look, it was a depleted Spurs who were about 10 players and also lost Rodrigo Bentancur in the process around the injury in that first half. We had 3 goals ruled out via Heung-min Son through offside, twice hit the post, forced a whole string of saves from Emi Martinez. Chris, how do you reflect on what's been a tricky last couple of weeks, last game for Tottenham and where we are right now in this Ange Postecoglou project?
This is going to be only the start of it, isn't it? That's the scary thing. This December is going to be long and painful, I reckon. And, you know, it's all these injuries that have come in. It's happened and there's nothing else that we can do at the moment about it. I was actually very impressed with our performance at Villa, though. I'm not going to, you know, dig deep and, you know, get into the nitty gritty of it all. But I thought we played pretty damn good, I thought. The thing is, we had our chances, but we didn't take it. With Villa, they had their chances and they took it. So that's the difference. As soon as you get your chances, you need to take them. It is, I can't stress how important it is. And it's just games like that show you, you know, with all those, you know, all those chances. Sonny was quite frustrating to watch, you know, all those offside as well. But there were so many others, like the Kulusevski one as well, hitting the post. It honestly, it was frustrating because I felt we should have been like 3 or 4-0 up in the first half. But all in all, I thought it was a damn good performance. Just the chances we didn't take them. And that was what I felt was the issue. And now we've come to an even bigger issue with all of these injuries. And this is going to be really tough, really tough. And I really feel for Ange actually at this point because there's not even any backups now. I honestly don't really know how we're gonna make this. You know, I think we're gonna have to maybe start dragging in our youngsters for the likes of Jamie. I think we're gonna have to get them involved now. And Ant literally said it before the show started. Thank God we're not having 2 games a week now because that would absolutely just destroyed us. So I think it's going to be a very long and cold December for sure. But yeah.
Interesting. I mean, listen, Chris, you are one of those positive, you know, pundits we have on this show. So for you to say that and obviously wear it on your sleeve like that, it's going to be difficult for sure. Rix, it's coming to you. Look, you are, along with Chris, one of the most positive panel members we have here on Last Word on Spurs. Of course, Spurs, for the first time since, I believe, early August, dropping out of the top 4 after that defeat to Aston Villa. Unai Emery's side, of course, coming from behind to condemn Spurs to a 3rd successive loss in the Premier League. I mean, look, when you think about it, 18 shots on goal, Martinez forced into 6 saves, hitting the woodwork twice, 3 goals ruled out for offside. How do you reflect, Rix, on this recent defeat to Villa? And where are you also now in the midst of Ange's project as we stand?
Well, I mean, to talk about Villa first and foremost, I think that it was actually a really impressive performance. It was a second string side. We had 4 fullbacks playing in the back 4. We had a totally new midfield. Bentancur, Lo Celso's first start in I don't know how long, and Kulu in the number 8/10 position. Brian Hill had his first start. Brennan Johnson in his preferred position, and Sonny up top. So the lineup itself was a brave one to begin with, and I think the reasons that he done that, the reasons that Big Ange done those things was to play a better brand of football. If we look at these 3 defeats in kind of as a whole right now, as I was saying in my intro, the way that we was playing against Chelsea, we was on course for a good 4-0, but we kicked ourselves up in the backside. Romero got too hot-headed, so did you doggy, and then we had our 2 injuries as well. And even with 9 men, we decided to go on the front foot. We decided to go for it. We decided to, even though it looks naive now when you look at the scoreline, we actually went on the front foot to go and challenge him. We didn't stop fighting. We didn't stop pushing. We didn't stop going for a win. And that's bravery. And then you hit the Wolves game. The Wolves game was more like a Conte team from last year. It was contain. It was slow. It was passive. There was a lot of backwards passing. It was all of the things that we was complaining about last year. And then you look at the Villa game. Now, Big Ange tried to rectify those things by taking out Dyer and taking out Højbjerg and starting. It's a brave decision to start Bentancur right now. He's just come back. Yes, he had 86 minutes, I think it was, for his country and international break. But, he's still coming back. And to start a game or to put him in the starting lineup against Villa in a Premier League clash, which is one that, we all know it's the toughest league in the world, is a brave decision. And he done that. So to try and eradicate those things that happened against Wolves, the same thing of dropping that Dyer and playing Emerson Royal as a centre back, because he knows athletically, his athleticism, the way that he can run up and down the pitch, the way that he can dribble and pass the ball, do you know what I mean? Short and stuff like that. We can kind of get a flavour of what Ange ball, Tottenham ball is, and see that again. And I think we done that. I think we was very unlucky. I think some of those offside goals, if the pass was just a fraction earlier, it's a new team though. You know what I mean? This is what I'm trying to get us back to. It's a new team. So those timings in real life, real game situations are not there quite yet. So, we was really unlucky. We had a ton of chances. There's like you said there, Kulusevski could have scored 2. We had a ton of chances, and that's what's encouraging to me, is that this second string side against the Villa side that are pushing for the top 4, that have come as underdogs as well, has got a lot to fight for as well. We made them look average for a very long time. For a very long time, we made them look average. We actually dominated them, and they're pretty much their first string side for a very, very long time. But they were clinical. They had their system set. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom. The fact that I still see us fighting and trying to play the same way and go for a result against whoever we play, I think is an encouraging sign. And I don't think it's all doom and gloom.
Rick, what you're saying is 90% right. I just want to ask you, sorry, Rick. Sorry, Sax, mate. About
go for it.
Or even obviously to Christina. But don't you feel that sometimes when forget the way Conte played, right? Let's forget him for a second. But you go 1-0 up so early on in the game, right? And you're still going for it. Don't you think sometimes come 70, 75 minutes, 80 minutes, we're winning 1-0, for example, and we've had offside after offside, we've hit the post, we've done this, but we're still winning the game. Don't you think sometimes you think Ange can go, right, let's just contain it now. We've got 10 minutes left. Let's not make no mistakes. Let's get this win and get over the line. Because of our injury crisis and the suspensions and et cetera, et cetera. That's my only worry sometimes. I think we're too out there pushing for the win, but we're still 2-1 down, and we've got all these injuries. Sometimes it's a bit of this and a bit of that. Do you know what I mean?
I totally understand where you're coming from, and you know what, you make 100% sense. But Ange Postecoglou wants to play a different way, bruv. He wants to change the things that we're used to. We're used to that. We've done that in the past, and we've still lost the game at times. Do you know what I mean? In extra time or within the 90. So I totally get what you're saying, but to bleed and to press and to kind of drill in a second string Tottenham side and use the squad that we have to try and get them up to speed with an Ange Ball way of playing, even though we know some of them are not suited to that way of playing, I think that's still an encouraging sign. Do I think myself as a fan at times? Yes, let's contain it. Let's hold on to what we got. Yes, but we have to get out of that mentality as well, because Ange is not going to change, bro. So we've got to push them on, and we've got to kind of drag them over the lines, the 12th man sort of thing, in every game, home and away, to make sure that they've got enough energy to make this football be sustainable. It is tough, bro, because
I'm not saying part of the bus.
No, I totally get what you're saying. That's professional.
But for me, the way we started, we had 10 games unbeaten, everything was hunky-dory, and I wouldn't miss. I love the geezer. This isn't a criticism, it's just an observation. Yeah. I love the guy before everyone starts having a pop at me. But you've got to sometimes realise that not every game we're going to win 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 5. We're going to lose 5-2. I don't want that all the time. I want sometimes to change it up a bit. If we're 2-0 up against City, for example, on Sunday, right? You know, the footballing gods are with us, and then it's still attack, and it's last minute, and then we lose 4-2. Are you going to sit here and be happy with that? I'm not.
Can I say to you on that point? And I think for me, he's trying to find that balance. That my concern is, I'm not sure if the players are capable to play 96, 97 minutes in the way Ange wants them to play right now. Now, whether that's going to change over the course of the season,
people are not getting what I'm saying. Sorry, Rick. I don't want park the bus football. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't want that. We've had that.
Yep.
And I'm fully on board, Ange Ball. I am. But the way we started was so good for 10 games. It was brilliant.
Yep.
And then we just dropped off a cliff because of the injuries. So sometimes you've got to change your system a little bit. Højbjerg ain't an attacking player. He's going to hold the ball. He's going to knock it sideways all the time. You know, he hasn't played Dyer, which is brilliant. And he's got great balls to drop in. But sometimes you think, you know, I'm just putting.
Yeah, but you know what, bro? It's like, I think that's where the Wolves game comes into play, because they tried to play that way against Wolves, and it looked like it was back to last season and seasons previous.
You know what I do agree with Rick, for me personally, is that my concern at the moment is I don't think the players at the moment are capable enough of playing 90 minutes sustainably of a high-line brand of football where it is continuously attack after attack after attack. And I think we've seen that. You know, many would say the Chelsea game was a prime example. Yes, it's hard to judge these games because we had a sending off after, you know, a period where we then went down to 9 men. But when you look at that Chelsea game, towards the end, we ran out of steam, and that's just me being honest. And then when you look at the other games we've had, to some degree, some of them, I think we are yet to see a full 90-minute performance.
You're 3-0 up. You're 3-0 up and you lose 4-3. Are we going to be happy with that? Are you going to be happy with that?
Well, I think, again, it depends how we're doing that. I'm not saying I want to lose like that, but I think
I hate losing.
Yes.
You know,
yeah, of course. We all hate losing.
We're going to lose games, and I get it. We're going to lose games. I can accept that. But it's sometimes like when you're 1-0, 2-0 up, and then you lose 3-2, it's deflating. It takes you a week to get over it.
I think what we have to remember is
sometimes.
Yeah. I think what we have to remember is, again, we're 3 months into a brand new project where the guy hasn't even got yet his own squad in place of how he'd want to play. I think it's evidently clear so far that you see the players that he's in favour of and the ones that he's not in. So I think it's hard to judge a brand of football until he's got his own players there. But I think what you've seen at the Villa game is, you know, we've seen a number of players that were on the periphery at Spurs that, quite frankly, many of them would have been out the door, and that they came in and matched the Villa side over, 96 minutes against a Villa side. Let's have it here. Villa are going to be up there with us fighting for the top 4. And if Spurs had the 10 players that they're currently missing, I think Spurs would have beaten Aston Villa.
Carlo here, RC63, he's spot on. We don't have the quality in the reserve. And he's, you know, but sometimes Enoch have to spend in January. I know it's another show to come, but they have to spend in January. They have to. It's unsustainable, mate.
I think
as Christina said, if we had 2 games a week, my word, would be bare bones FC.
I think, again, it's just trying to find that balance, because what I have to say is that the concerning element will be, Chris, that we've been, ahead in the last 3 games, and we've lost them all. Now, whether we can pin that down on injuries, when we can pin that down on missing players, and the fact of the matter is against the teams that we're playing, we've got to try and find that balance because, look, regardless of, the way we're playing, at some point, we do want to see Spurs, of course, get back to winning, which is the most important thing. And, of course, we want to see a brand of football to go with that. But, we've got to see out games, Chris. That's got to be a fundamental, regardless of, for me, the brand of football. Do you agree?
I actually do see Ant's point completely. It is literally finding that balance, and especially with especially now with the injuries, I think it's like, oh god, we've really got to kick into work with this. But what has it been now, guys? Like, it's our 4th month now, isn't it, with Ange?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's still early days. This is the thing. It's very early
100%.
days still. And I think as well, like, I've got a hell of a lot of faith in him still. I've already seen people losing faith, and I don't understand that from my view, but
I don't either.
It's insane. Like, the guy has come in and he's already won. I know it's like 3 manager of the award months. He's completely changed Tottenham completely, and we've been enjoying it. We've been seeing all of these, big wins, whatever. It's been dramatic, very dramatic. But now with all of these injuries and the way that we've been losing, it's made it even worse. Those losses,
Exactly.
It's made it worse, and I think that's why it's easy for us to criticize and be like, "Oh, here we go, like Ange out already." Blah blah blah.
No, not at all. Not at all. No.
I can't handle that.
No, Christina, I'm not. Listen, I will stress again, people. I love Ange Ball. I love Ange. I love him. What he's doing to the club, I think it's brilliant. But sometimes when you
there's a balance. It's got to be a balance.
Yeah.
There's got to be a
when
balance.
you haven't got the brilliant first 11 that we had for the first 10 games,
Yep.
man, some of these players you can't trust. They let you down. They've let us down before. So just change a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Like, sometimes you've got to just shut shop last 10, 15 minutes. That's all I'm saying.
I feel like we haven't actually got got like any other choice. We need to we need to basically play how you're saying, Ant, because we have no other choice. We've got no backup now. So it's just, and like you said, January is going to be bloody important. This just shows how much we need to invest in this team now if we 100%. Are damn serious. It's ridiculous, and it's such a it is such a shame with how we started off so brilliantly that it's come to this. It's such a shame.
It's unthinkable. I mean, how can any club try and plan or try and legislate for 10 injuries to players around the first team? Nobody can legislate for that. It's impossible.
The guy came within a couple of weeks. He lost our best ever player.
Yep.
He's still, and what he's doing, or what he's done for the first 10 games, and still now you can see what he's trying to do. Yep. Fantastic.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't understand why, many are out there saying, you can't have it both ways. You've got to settle for, either an attacking brand of football or a defensive brand of football. For me, the best managers are able to not only marry the two, but also have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D, but still primarily look to stick to plan A. So I don't know why there's got to be a certain narrative that it has to be all out attack or it has to be all out defense. I don't know why you can't find the balance. Rick, I want to bring this question into you to get this answer from you on this one. Alex on the screen here says, is this the first time we don't care how many losses we get as we understand the situation with injuries, suspensions, and more importantly, that we're in a transitional season with low expectations? Rick, give me your thoughts on that question for you.
I'm kind of with him. I kind of agree there. I think that, we are on this show and on every show that we've done, and whenever we speak football in the pub or in the cafe or at work or at home, we're an honest bunch. We'll criticize ourselves and we'll give ourselves praise, but we don't just go crazy. Do you know what I mean? And put out outlandish stuff. Sometimes I do, but you know what I mean. And I think taking into consideration the suspensions, the injuries, and it's a big, big injury list. You take 10, 11 first teamers out of any team and you'll see them struggle. But this is what I'm saying. It's like Ange has let us know many a time that this ain't going to change. I mean, his press conference after Chelsea, he was like, if I had 5 men, I'd still play the same way. And this is where we've kind of got to get to. What I think he's doing is he's trying to up the level of those that we know can't really play his football. I agree there should be some type of balance, but I think his balance, instead of going, let's drop back into like a kind of a solid back five or something like that to kind of contain the game, he would want to keep the ball moving and keep passing the ball and kind of hold on to it possession wise, rather than just let it go, or rather give the ball to the opposition and give them an opportunity for either an attack or an opportunity at goal. So he's not going to change. He's not going to change. And I think that you see it. You see when, that Fulham game, the Cup game, Carabao Cup game, and that Wolves game. Both times he's kind of, even if it means sacrificing experienced players, he will do that for the style of play and for the way that he wants everybody to play at Tottenham right now. And I just think that we've got a kind of, I agree with you. Especially in this scenario, we should be able to hold on to the ball or see out games or be professional in that sense of the way, but it's just not going to be that way. I just don't think it's going to be that way. It's not going to change. So I think as we loved all of the attacking and as we loved the 10 games unbeaten, we've got to kind of love Ange and the boys exactly the same way in this bump in the road. We always knew that this bump in the road was coming. And It's happened all at the same time because we're Tottenham Hotspur, because that's the only way it ever happens. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't just rain, it bloody well tsunamis and there's thunderstorms and there's earthquakes left, right and centre. Do you know what I mean? Like, it happens all at the same time. And so it's happened all at the same time. So we need to galvanise as a fan base and around that team, because whoever's going out there, they're wearing the shirt, and they're trying to do their best and trying to do what the manager's asking them to do.
Absolutely.
But he's running out of players, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
But these games that we've lost, I can't remember now. I'm such in work mode. We was 1-0 up against Villa.
Yep.
Yeah, mate.
1-0 against Wolves. And of course, 1-0 against Chelsea.
And
So
Chelsea,
we're the first team since Leicester to have lost 3 in a row by going to go up. I mean, Ant, you said to me 6-7 years ago when I met you, bless you, you went to me, Rick, this club's a curse. And I went, Ant, what are you talking about? At times it does feel cursed. I mean, we all said going into the start of the season, Spurs were relying on keeping Maddison, Van der Ven, Romero, Udogie, Vicario fit until January. And I think the reality is that, when you take out, 4 or 5 players out of a squad, but lose 10 players, players, it's impossible to fathom that situation that Spurs are in at the moment. And again, I think, because I want to come on to the injuries in a second, I think the final thing I want to say on Ange's start of play is that no one here is suggesting that we want Ange to leave the football club. No one is suggesting that we're asking him to completely change his style of football. But I think what we have to be, clear on, and I think just from my perspective here as an opinion, is that when we've been 1-up in the last 3 games, there is a certain element to it that you have to try and see these games out. I 100% take into the factor we've got 10 players out. I 100% take into the case that, the players that we have out are genuine, a number of them, first-team players. But Spurs are going to have to find a way to see out this period until the start of January, because ultimately we don't want it to ruin the amazing start we've had to the season and the feel-good factor around the football club. Think, we've had this feel-good factor because it's been created by one man. Ange Postecoglou, as Ant said at the start of the show, he lost Harry Kane. Think about all the managers that could have lost him on the eve before the season started. He managed to get over that, get Spurs to 10 games unbeaten in the midst of what was a real battle towards the top of the league. Spurs are still right there. Spurs are still bang there. Whether they can stay there is another question, but you have to look at the fact that so far it has been a tremendous start from Ange under really, really difficult circumstances. But I don't buy the fact that it's totally, unfathomable that a manager in certain elements of the game can't be a little bit more pragmatic. I don't believe that. That's not me saying that I disagree with Ange's style. That's not me asking Ange to massively compromise. I think we all recognise that we're at the start of a project here. I think ultimately, in general, for me, it's very hard to judge a man that has not yet got his own squad, his own players. I mean, this guy has still got players there that have been here since the Pochettino reign. Right, so we're going back 3-4 managers.
AVB, mate, since AVB. Hugo Lloris.
There's no Christian Grosses in there, is there?
Maybe.
Listen, I think it's a debate that could roll on, but because of time, what we are going to do, we are going to go for our first break of the show for our listeners on audio. My God, I knew it was going to be a lively panel. What a lively panel we've got here, I tell you. We're joined by the wonderful Blues' very own, Mamma Mia's very own Antony Costa's back on Last Word on Spurs, as is the superb Christina Zandes. And look, he's on the ice in a matter of weeks. The countdown is on. It can only be Mr. Ricky J. Norwood back alongside us here, blessing our screens on the award-winning Last Word on Spurs. Right, guys, I do want to bring up where we are in terms of the injury front. I know this is going to be really painful, but just to bring us up to conclusive where we are right now, we have heard the news this week that Rodrigo Bentancur will face a minimum of 2.5 months on the sidelines after tearing ankle ligaments. Now, Bentancur was starting his first match since February in Sunday's clash against Aston Villa, but was forced off after just 32 minutes after, I've got to say for me, a really horrendous challenge by Matty Cash. Not the first time, of course, that challenge we saw previously at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, or dare I say at Villa Park, at Matt Doherty's feet, quite literally. So Spurs, again, in a difficult situation now where they use and lose yet another player. We know where Spurs are at the moment. Yves Bissouma will be coming back in, fingers crossed. Pat Matassar, as we understand at the moment, looks like he is in the process of being assessed. Although we've heard from friend of the show, Paul O'Keefe, as we understand that there is potentially a hamstring injury there, but we're yet to know the full extent of that. So we will wait to see. Of course, those two add to a growing list for Spurs at the moment. Summer signings, James Maddison, Mickey van der Ven, not expected to return to action this calendar year. Ryan Sessegnon, Manor Solomon, also not anticipated to be available for selection for some time. While Ivan Perisic, we understand, is facing a longer absence after tearing his ACL. Some suggestions that we may not even see Perisic return in a Spurs shirt this season. Richarlison, he's expected to return to action just before Christmas. Although, again, I would wait for confirmation on that just to be sure. Again, we'll hopefully get some form of an update ahead of Ange Postecoglou's pre-match press conference ahead of Manchester City to come. Christian Romero will serve the third and final match of his suspension against Manchester City this weekend. And that is currently where we do stand on the injury update. Bit of crisis, you have to say, when you look at that current situation. Boys, and girls, got to get your thoughts on the Bentancur injury because of the magnitude that we were so looking forward to seeing him back in a Spurs shirt. Rix, you look so disappointed, so despondent about it because a player that was so key, inevitable to Spurs' season before obviously that injury last season, he seems to fit into midfield so well for Tottenham against Aston Villa alongside Giovanni Lo Celso, who I think, to some degree, you've got to say, really kind of announced himself back on the scene at Tottenham. A really good performance from him, a goal as well. How damaging is that, Rick, to lose Bentancur now, given already the light midfield we have, and also taking into consideration Spurs are going to be without Yves Bissouma and Pat Matassar during the African Cup of Nations, which kickstarts in January?
I mean, this is massively damaging. First and foremost for Benny, it's such a long injury out. He worked his way back in. He was super excited. We heard all of those reports of him knocking on Big Ange's door and kind of asking to be involved in the first team sessions earlier than expected. He's come back. We've worked him in, bled him in, given him like little cameos here and there. He goes off to international duty. He plays 86 minutes. Fantastic. He's looking good. Played well. And then comes in, to this injury-ravaged side right now. And, for those first, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I think it was, he looked fantastic. He looked like it was so good to see him back in there, first and foremost, in the shirt. But he looked fantastic. The dribbling, the close control. He wasn't afraid of anything. He was driving forward. I thought he done so well. And it was just first and foremost, it was a horrendous challenge. And to me, I mean, maybe I'm biased, I don't know, but to me, it was a straight red because I don't think he was going for any ball. I thought he was going with the intent to hurt, do you know what I mean, or to foul. And I think, that to me, but maybe I'm biased. So yeah, I think it's so damaging, mate. It's so damaging because he was basically going to be the plan B. Hopefully we were looking forward to kind of getting him back up to fitness so that when it did come to January and AFCON and Sonny goes off as well, that at least Bentancur would be back in there and we could kind of build from that. But it's so tough. It is so tough to take for him as well. but as well as the side and just all our kind of excitement to see him back. It's so sad. But I know he's going to battle back stronger. I know he's going to fight, and and he's going to come back and have the impact that we all want him to have on this side.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, now bringing you in, I mean, look, we've had our chats about the injury crisis Spurs have been facing, but I mean, have you ever known this, Ant? I mean, it feels like unprecedented when you see the list of injuries Tottenham got there, 10 first-team players out injured, and Bentancur the latest now to be back in the injury room. I mean, it's so disappointing for him because I think when you look at the way he was playing under Ange in that first half an hour against Villa, it was the Bentancur that we signed at the time, and just devastated to lose him now for another prolonged period, right?
Just gutting, mate. Absolutely gutting. Just coming on to what Rick was saying, controlling the game, no fear, doing what he does best. I love the geezer. I think he's a fantastic player. And that injury happens. Should Matty Cash got a red? Absolutely, but obviously never. And they went on to win the game, and that's a bit of pill to swallow, And I think had he had stayed on the pitch, different game, because the geezer was running that midfield. But coming on to what you're saying, once presumably goes off and Sarr and Sonny, again we're back to bare bones FC. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's scary, it's worrying, and I hope that Levy and the board have got we're going to back Big Ange come January, because we're going to need it. We're going to need it, absolutely.
Well, when you look at paper things, Chris, the squad is right now, and this is the worry. I mean, you said it in your intro as well that if there's a time, Chris, there needs to be investment in the squad. It is now. I mean, is there anything you can say, Liz? I mean, Chris, sorry, how do you legislate for the amount of injuries Spurs have got to date in such key areas? And again, Bentancur, as I've said here, for me, and as Ant has picked up there, running the show against Aston Villa, I think, you saw the way him and Lo Celso struck up an instant partnership there, and one that I think all of us were generally really excited about, because we know obviously we've got no Maddison now to January, and I think a lot of us would have felt, you know what, provided we can keep Bentancur fit and Giuliano Lo Celso fit, we've got a fairly decent midfield couple there, and you add Sarr into that, as long as his injury isn't too bad again, we're kept in the wait to know how bad that injury is. Just how damaging is that now to lose him for a period? And I have to ask you, Chris, the fact that Matty Cash remains on the field, Villa sub him off. I mean, it adds insult to injury, doesn't it, Chris? I mean, how can you legislate for that?
It's really upsetting, actually. And even when we first saw him, I think it was the Crystal Palace game when he came on, it felt like they were giving me a blanket. It was comforting to see this player who I think is absolutely incredible. He, has so much going on with us in the pitch, and literally we just got him back and now he's off. It's just, to me, I completely agree with Ricky and Anne. I thought the injury, it was done purposely. It felt like it was done, to hurt him. And Ramiro, it's down to you now. Like, you do whatever you want to do, basically, with that. But it is just, it's really, it's just, that list is absolutely atrocious. I'm waiting for Chirpy to be on that list now. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. And I don't even know, I actually, to be fair, I did say, actually, having Kulu as well at number 10, by the way, I thought that was great. I like that. I did really like that. And this is why I do have just that sort of a little bit of faith. The fact that Ange has taken this all in and he has done something about it. This is why I feel it is positive still. I know I'm being negative, because I feel, the injuries, of course I'm going to be negative about it. But with Ange himself, I don't feel negative at all. I just feel he knows exactly where those parts are that is going wrong.
Yep.
And he is trying to sort it out.
The
fact that he is doing something about it, and the fact that this manager has come in, he's not even been in the Premier League. He's taken into consideration with all of these players, how they're feeling, how do they play and everything, weaknesses and strengths. And he's doing something about it. And that's why I still have faith in him.
Yeah, I feel sorry with the geezer, Christina. Losing our best player, having 10, 11 injuries, three get suspended, red cards, and you're thinking, oh my word, I stress myself. I love the geezer, and he makes you feel a little bit positive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you think
It's so hard.
It's
right
so
now.
hard because you're like, we've got City and.
Well, can I
City,
can I just say on this point, on the fixtures coming up, guys, and when you look at those fixtures coming up for Tottenham, I mean, this is why even Chris said that she's the most optimistic Spurs fan there is. But she did say we might be in for a tricky December. I mean, bear in mind, we've just come off the back of no points in November. We need to have some form of a good December. I mean, look, I think the reality is we know that City coming up for us at the weekend. We know, look, it's a bit of a bogey team for City, obviously being Tottenham, but it's going to be tough. I mean, I think it's fair to say City haven't really hit their full extent of what they're capable of yet. But, games are there to be won. I think West Ham presents a good opportunity because you've got Romero back in the side for Spurs, but David Moyes' men at the moment are unbeaten their past three. They've shown the road, West Ham, to some degree, a real new resistance under David Moyes in the last 12 months. They can get results. They come from behind late only the previous week to get a result, as we saw up at Sheffield United. I go again, Sheffield United, can you really count them as a really firm opponent? But, again, you have to take them into consideration. Newcastle at home. Again, Newcastle's situation is interesting because it's going to go down to that final day for the Champions League spot as to whether they will qualify and obviously go through to the next round or whether they go into the Europa League. So that's a proper top four battle there at home. Fingers crossed Spurs will have Romero back. As I've mentioned, he's available for West Ham. And fingers crossed, they've got a Dogi there playing and they'll have some form of a midfield there. Forest away, never an easy place to go, of course. That's later in the month on the 15th. And, the City ground on a Friday night will be absolutely rocking. You look at Everton, of course, to come on the 23rd. It's an Everton side that are feeling really aggrieved with, of course, that points deduction. So, look, let's not dress it up. It's going to be a tough December, but there are games there for Spurs that are winnable. But what we can't have any more injuries now, Ant, can we? We've got to, I know it sounds crazy. We've got 10. We've got 10 at the moment. We can't afford any other injuries, can we?
Mate, no. I'm trying
to find a positive here.
Can't there be no Premier League football for the whole of December just to chill and then come back in January?
They took the wrong year for the World Cup, went to break, didn't they? Should have been last year.
No.
It's a nightmare.
Typical, isn't it? We're so cursed.
You can't make it up. It's a tough period.
It up, mate. If I'd have written it as a film, Ricky starring in it, no one would have believed it. Do you know what I mean? So,
the year you boys are packed busy. There's got to be a whole B casualty special going on here, isn't there, for this? What's going on here?
I think it's like literally dig deep Tottenham. Just get over them lines. Just get on with it. And
that needs to come with an 18+ certificate, did it? On the back of what we're seeing here.
But you know what? These moments make you
Absolutely.
as a player. When you're going through tough times, how many times have we been in a bad period of time and gone to play Man City and in our heart of hearts go, you know what? They're going to pepper us. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And somehow, some way, some form, we end up winning, right? But right now, what I'm saying is fight. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And going through bumpy times makes you. It makes you. Ange will know more about this squad going through a bad period of time than going through the good times. We know what that first 11 can do. We know what that first 11 can do if they were still playing right now and if they were fit and etc. etc. If that collapse didn't happen at Chelsea, where would we be right now? We're going to have Basuma coming back. For these games in December. What if Kulu strikes, and just sets the world alight, playing in a number 8, number 10 position? Do you know what I mean? So it's not lost, because the one thing that I know is that from our manager is that we never stop and we're going to fight for everything. So in football, you just never know, boys. You just never know. Do you know what I mean? Just take and ladies, we just take it one game at a time. Just keep taking it one game at a time, and hopefully everybody that started comes off without a stretcher, and we can carry on to the next game, and we can just go one game at a time.
Is it time to start playing the youngsters?
Well, apparently there's a number of injuries there as well. I think Mikey Moore's out there for a period. Yeah, Mikey Moore's out for a period.
There's another one as well.
Yeah. There is also one more that is also missing. Where's John from New Rose when you need him? We are also missing another youth player as well, which I will try and bring up to date. But it's a tough period for Tottenham at the moment. Again, I think Ange will be in that situation where I think you've got to say he wants to make sure, from his perspective, that he's not risking his players too early. Of course, we lost Ashley Phillips as well to injury for a month I mean, you can't make this out. I mean, obviously, there's questions. Yeah, are we running out of stretchers at the football club? You know, we've got the lodge there. I mean, we won't have enough spaces to fill the players. I mean, Chelsea could play last year having too many. We've not got enough. You can't make this up. You really can't make it up. It is a concern. Guys, before
you don't laugh, you cry. You know.
Honestly, and we need to go in the stadium. Get those olive leaves.
Never stop.
Honestly. We need to get the olive leaves, man. We've got to do it.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it was great. Was it great to hire a manager with a manager who says we never stop? We've had all these injuries and we are being stopped. Can't make it up. You just can't make this up. Boys and girls, the final question I want to ask you before we look ahead to Man City, which of course will be really fun on the back of this, right? Everyone's excited to hear the predictions for Man City. I've got an intercom here saying if Ricky Norwood dare predicts a 4-0. Right. There has been some responses this week from the FA that they are going to be, and FIFA, of course, they're going to be trialing a number of different things that I just want to get yays and no's on from you guys. VAR, apparently, his powers may be expanded to look at free kicks, corners, and second yellow cards. Interesting. This comes off the back of, obviously, of course, how Brian Hill, bless him, he may have been missed because of his height, but how he never got a penalty, you know, in that game against Villa. What did the guy have to do? Did he have to actually be poleaxed? Did you understand that? Brian Hill did not get a penalty? It's just bizarre.
Oh, so they're trialing this new VAR for Spurs City?
No. Oh. No, definitely not. City fans getting really excited about it now, guessing on the VAR
situation. You know what's coming, didn't you? You know what was coming. So
it's apparently it's in the early developments. But I mean, how do we feel? Just very yes or no on this, guys. I mean, we'll go to you first, Chris. How do you feel about VAR having more control and their expansion to free kicks, corners, and second yellow cards? How do you feel about that?
I mean, the more VAR, the less enjoyable it's going to be to me. It's just too. I don't even know what the word is. Is it all like too many rules? I don't like it. It's not cool. It's literally killing football. And it's coming. You know, it's even come to the point where if we do score a goal, do we actually celebrate?
We had Son score a hat trick on the weekend, and we couldn't even celebrate one of them. I mean, now we're looking at even more power.
But that's just how it is now. And that to me isn't football anymore. It's such a killjoy. And I don't even know, like, is it really going to be worth it, all of this hassle? I mean, there's going to be more, you know, mistakes as well with all of this as well, where, you know, they're going to have to release the footage again and stuff like that. I just think, is it really necessary for football? I don't know. To me, it's just killing football. It really is.
It is. I was at a Chelsea game and it was up, down.
The problem is when you're there, you haven't got a clue what's going on. And I think that's the problem. Being in the stadium, there's going to have to be more of an emphasis on the fans that are there to try and keep them updated. I know it sounds mad me saying that, but honestly, when you're at the stadium, you generally do not have a clue. You're literally there scrolling through X or scrolling through whatever you're scrolling through to try and find out what is going on. The mad thing is, how can you be in a situation where you're at the game, be it the people watching it no more than you actually being there? I just find that absolutely mental. Rix, you looked so deflated with me reading the fact that VAR might even have more power. I mean, yes or no, Rick, where do you stand on the fact VAR might get more power when it comes to free kicks, corners, second yellow cards?
No, to me, I think the more power they have, the worse it's going to get. I mean, would you want a sanitized game? I mean, Pochettino said this when it was first introduced. He didn't want it because he knew it was just going to go, you know, just very black and white without any grey in between. I mean, look, they can't even figure out what a handball is right now. You know, look at the last couple of games, right? So you're going to tell me they're going to figure out what the second yellow card is and the free kick is? Like, just stay out of it. Where has the responsibility and the power of the referee gone? Where has his opinion gone? He's not. What is the point in him being there? You might as well just leave a speaker on the side of the pitch, and then you do an automatic whistle. Everybody stops. You listen to the speaker. It can be Siri or Alexa, and they can do and be like, you're offside, and then you can crack on, because what's the point anymore? Do you know what I mean? So there's a referee for a reason. There's grey areas for a reason. And exactly what Christina said there, you're missing the energy, you're missing the momentum, you're missing all the good things and the bad things and the things that incense you and the things that go against us. And as Tottenham fans, we know how many things have gone against us, you know, when it comes down to decisions. So VAR has helped us, you know, it has helped us get what we had deserved in games gone past. But the more sanitized it is, the worse it's going to get. And we're going to have 25 minutes extra time at the end of the first half and 45 minutes of extra time at the end of the second half, just because they're figuring out what's a free kick. So for me, it's a no.
And would you stand it very quickly for you, bud?
Mate, spot on what Ricky and Christina said. I think one of the comments was, and I agree with, just use goal line technology and done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that Chelsea game, I said to you when I went,
yeah,
I was up, down, on my lap, should we celebrate? People are going, as you said on their phone, no, my mate just said, it's a handball, mate. And you're like, oh. And then, you know what I mean? You're like, I might as well sit at home.
You might as well save money sitting at home watching it.
Exactly. So, yeah, like what the panel has said.
And then final one through the rounds, we're looking to City. Sin bins, guys. Again, another thing that's going to be trialled by potentially coming up to a position where it could be looked at by the Premier League. Sin bins, are we in favour of those? And yes or no?
Not for me.
Okay.
Not
Chris?
for me, no.
You got yes or no on that?
No.
You do yes or
Not
no?
for
No?
Yeah.
Rick's
It's a no from me.
No?
Yeah. Me.
Okay.
Yeah, not for me.
So just so everybody knows out there, for the award-winning last one on Spurs, it's a no to extra VAR conditions and no to sin bins. Right, there you go. That's the gripping analysis that we are here for, of course, bringing you. What we are going to do, we are going to go for our final break of the show for our listeners and audio. Take you into that break, you're going to hear from the wonderful Sam Lee from the Athletic Manchester City's correspondent as we look ahead to Manchester City behind the sofa. I'm joined by the wonderful Christina Zandes, the Mamma Mia's very own and Blue's very own Antony Costa. And he's a man who'll be dancing on the ice very, very soon. He's dancing now. He's skating on it as well. I tell you, it's Ricky J. Norwood in the house. Right, guys, Man City to come. Sure. I don't know if there's ever a good time for this fixture. I don't know if there ever is a good time for Man City away. Look, I mean, our record tells you that what we're going to fear about. But look, we have to put it into context. Spurs going to City with 10 players out of their current squad. A number of them will be first teamers. Bentancur, of course, out as well. We play City on the back of, for them, a 1-1 draw against Liverpool. Now, look, let's be honest about it. City aren't the City of what they were at the back end of last season. But quite frankly, I think with City, they don't ever really start going until, I would say, January, February. I think this is the kind of City that we normally see.
Point.
Yeah.
This game's their turning point. Yeah.
Costa's gone. But listen, again, I think for them, they have been missing the creativity of Kevin De Bruyne. But look, they've had the goals of, obviously, Erling Haaland to help them out. They've had 29 points from the opening 13 matches. But look, again, you look at their recent three performances, a 4-4 draw with Chelsea, a draw with Liverpool, and they're deflating. Well, I'd say they defeated RB Leipzig by 3-2. And let's start with you. Look, I mean, we know this game is tough, tricky. That's before you take into account Spurs' injuries. Do you give us any hope whatsoever of getting anything up at the Etihad?
I mean, Ricky, how do you feel about it? You know, mate, I'm bricking it. I just
it's that Danny Dyer clip, and it's a Danny Dyer clip.
It's just gonna be like, just get on with this game. Just get over and done with. Just 6 o'clock on Sunday. Just get over and done with, so I can watch Heartbeat. Do you know what I mean?
God, I tell you,
I've got no idea what Tottenham will turn up. We're missing our best players, so managed to rally them together and get something out of nothing. Then great, let's do it.
It is tricky. I mean, Chris, to come over to you. As things stand for City, obviously, you know, Mateo Kovacic, Matheus Nunes, and the aforementioned De Bruyne, as I mentioned, still in the treatment room. However, Jack Grealish has overcome injury, and he could be potentially in the squad for this one. Chris, give me your thoughts on it. Look, I mean, it's a difficult game. Look, City doesn't come around at any good time for any football club, right? I mean, despite the fact Spurs have got a strong record there. We want to be upbeat, we want to be honest, we want to be frank about it. Stranger things have happened in football, Chris. What do you think Spurs could potentially do out there, given what the players we have available to us?
Stranger things, you're trying to hint that we could win this game.
I don't think this is
trying to give a little bit of positive. I like it.
I mean, I think again, I think the key will be, Chris. I mean, look, like we all seem to think here, Ange and Rick's been adamant in saying this all show. He doesn't think Ange will change his style, which does worry me because, I mean, City are there as a side that could quite easily put 5 or 6 past you if we're going to play this brand of football. And I mean, look, the key will be for Tottenham. The first goal is so crucial, I think, in a game like this. If Spurs get it, how do they then approach the rest of the game? I mean, look at Ant's face. I can kind of see where he's thinking this is going to go. I mean, it's a really, really tricky one, Chris. How do you see it playing out?
It's scary. I'm really scared of this game. I'm scared of Man City. I do agree they're not the same like they were last season so far, but they completely turn around later on in the season and I wouldn't be surprised if we're the ones that help them to build that momentum, of course. But to be honest, I just want to see us go out there and do our best. I want us to not, even if we say, for example, even if that's a huge if we were to score the first goal, I do not want us to sit back. I think that's where we lost it with a few games. I just want us to go out there and do whatever the hell we can do. And even if it is a loss, it is a loss. But I'll tell you what, City scare me, and I'm going to do this now. I'm going to have to do it because you gave me this card and I've stuck it at the back of my phone case, and I'm actually just going to get rid of it for now. So that's Grealish out of the window for me for Sunday. So I'm petrified for this game, guys. I can't tell you. I don't know if I can even watch it.
Well, I might do what Rocky 2 does. You remember in Rocky 2 when he goes to the vicar, you go, "Yo, vicar," you know what I mean? And he the vicar gives him a, "Yo, come here, we're here, Rocky. Yo, what's up? Gonna help me out, you know?" I might do that. I might find a priest somewhere, you know, and bless our team.
I do want to actually say, even so, I think whoever the fans are going out there, we need to back the team as much as possible.
100%.
No matter what the score is, back that team and back Ange. Just show the support. Do not lose that because we've built this huge support. What's that? Regardless of the score, we still love Spurs. Oh, we do. God. I mean, we do. But love us back a little bit more sometimes, you know. But no, yeah. Honestly, please, I'm begging for the fans. Just don't lose momentum of this whole atmosphere because I feel like we've really built this up nice. And Ant's gone. Ant's gone.
It's a laugh of frightened, isn't it? It's one of those where again we know it's going to be tricky.
Nervous.
I mean, Rick Kulisevsky says we should go to with confidence.
You can't go. He's bursting. Go to him first. Go to Costa quickly. Let him get it out. Rick's let him get it out.
Get his prediction out.
Whatever it is, he is ready to go on.
It's Christina. Guys, you know, if we're losing 6-0, let's get behind the team.
Get behind the team. Come on.
I think reality is that, I mean, I don't know, Rick, to be honest with you, I don't know the best way to approach this game realistically. I don't know if you can go there with, you know, a couple of non-fullbacks, you know, on the left and right hand side. You got, you know, makeshift centre backs in the middle. I truly feel for Ange. I don't know what he's I don't know what the guy's gonna do. You know, I think, you know, Lo Celso has proven himself that he has to start, given the fact that he scored a great goal and our lack of options in midfield. And I think this is the hard thing that realistically, the guy's hands are massively tired. I mean, I don't know really if you can even really judge the result, given the fact that it's 10 players out. I mean, how do you realistically try and judge a team when they've got the majority of the starting 11 out there? Do you throw the youth in, Rick? What do you do?
You've got to firstly take into account and know in your heart all of the circumstances, and they're not excuses. There are circumstances that have happened that have led us to this position right now. You know, I think that he will have the youth on the bench. But I think the one thing, if you look at this game, like I said before, there's been so many times that we've gone to Man City and the form hasn't been in our favour, in the sense that we haven't been in form, and we're all pretty much thinking that they're going to do us, and they're going to do us 3-4, 5-0. And somehow, some shape, some form, we've come out with results, right? So that's just the kind of the history energy around Tottenham and Man City right now. If with that back line that we've got, with 4 fullbacks in the back line, you can't sit back. You can't sit back because we know what's going to happen there, right? If you put Dyer into that and make it a back 3, I don't think that's going to work either. So you know what Big Ange is going to do. He's going to go for it, and you just never know. Do you know what I mean? Like, Bissouma's going to be in the DM. You're going to have Lo Celso there playing his second game. You're going to have Bentancur there in the middle. And then you're going to have the pace of Brennan Johnson on the right. You've got Sonny there. and then maybe Brian Hill on the left. Who knows? But those boys are going to go out there and they're going to fight for everything. They're going to fight for every minute, and they're going to go for it. Now, what the result may be, it might be, but this is what we've got to do. Like kind of we've been saying, is kind of not get on their back so much, in the sense of, we know the situation, we know what the circumstances around this, and those fans that always do, regardless of form, shout and sing and praise the boys. I think they will continue to do that, and I think that they will have all of these things in their head as well, and take it all into account and go there, and we'll give it a go. We'll go for them. We're not going to sit back. We're going to go for them. And I don't mind that. I prefer that than to sit back and wait for them to pepper us and wait for Haaland to score a big ass, a hat trick against us or something. I prefer to go for it, mate. Do you know what I mean?
I think the key is only you guys. I mean, the key thing for me is to try and stay in the game for as long as you possibly can. I mean, can I be honest? I don't know how you do that. I mean, I'll be honest. I generally don't know how you do that given the injuries that we have. But I think the key thing as well is, and again, I'm not trying to be negative here, that we had such a great start in terms of the goal difference that, suddenly after a few games, that starts to drop away. And because of the nature of the league now, we have to be honest and say there's, considerably, when you look at it, the fact that that league is starting now to become very, very clear in terms of the transparency where teams are falling into place. And I hate to say, a couple of defeats for Spurs, it really knocks you down the league now. And it really takes away the really good feel-good factor that we had. And I think the key thing we have to remember, and Rick, you've said this throughout, is that we are in some form of a transitional period where we have not got 10 players available to us. I'm sorry I keep saying that, but it is absolutely unprecedented to have this amount of players out and not take that into account when you're trying to sit here and preview a game against champions Manchester City. So you have to take that into account. You'd be stupid to not take that into account. So I think that to some degree, many will look at the result as, quite frankly, a side note to some degree because of the amount of injuries that we're facing. But look, it's 11 versus 11, if we can keep 11 on the pitch. So we have to just see how we approach the game. I think for me, I think City will win it 3-1. I think Spurs will try their best to keep it respectable, but I don't think it's going to be easy. So we'll do the rounds. We'll start with, we're going to Ant first. What do you go for, Ant?
I'm going 3. I don't know, man. I can't hate betting against us. I hate it, but
you can do it, Ant. We've got 10 players out. It's Man City. It's the champions. There's nothing wrong to say we won't lose the game.
If we lose 3-2, it's all right. It's one of them.
Or you can predict who's going to be injured next.
That might be easier.
Oh my God, darling.
I'll tell you what.
Oh
no, Anthony, you be quiet. Don't mention
I'm not saying a word,
Don't
bro.
say a thing. Don't
say
say
a word.
nothing. Anthony, don't say nothing. Don't say a thing. Don't say nothing. I'm telling you, I'm not playing.
I mean, it would be ironic that after all this, and someone does call it, it'd be a 0-0, wouldn't it? After all of what we've going on here, could you imagine it? We've all been moaning about the fact, we want to play attacking football, and suddenly we get a 0-0 Conte performance or a 0-0 Mourinho draw. We'd all love a 0-0 up at the Etihad, and we would all take it. The irony of it. Chris, what you going for, Chris?
Yeah, I was actually going to say 3-1 City.
It's going to be tough. We've got to be realistic. It's going to be a tough game. I mean, look, it'd be
Sorry,
great
Rick.
to go there and get a win. No, listen, it would be great to go there and get a win. Listen, we all also want to be realistic. The fact, as I keep on mentioning, it'd be very hard to go to City in the best of times. But where we are right now, I think for me, the most important thing is that we put a performance in. What we don't want to see, before I come to Rick's to close it, is we don't want to see a capitulation, right? I think that is really, really important.
Yeah.
I think we want to see that what we've seen, a continual thing from Tottenham under Ange is that the Wolves game, we learned our lesson. We played really, really well against Aston Villa, and we're unlucky that, again, to not have those players available, then, ultimately Spurs would have got a result. But I don't think there's any shame in going to City and putting in a really brave performance but losing it by a couple of goals to 1. I don't think it's being negative. I just think that's where we are right now in terms of the squad that we've got, the availability of players. But Ricky Norwood in the last 7 years has never come onto last word on Spurs and ever predicted anything than Tottenham win. So why am I expecting anything different? Rick, what are you going to go for?
Tottenham are going to win it 4-0, aren't they? We all know this. We all know this. Do you know? I'm only playing. All right.
Can you see any way, Rick, a positive result goes up there if City was to get a man sent off? Can you see anything that could change this game into our favour?
The only reason why I've got a little bit of hope is because of how Ange has changed everything to do with this side and with these players, and he's going to expect nothing less than those players to step up and to do what he's asked, because that's who he's put on the field.
Yep.
So that's why I'm going for a Desmond 2-2.
Okay.
And I think it'll be a draw, and I think we'll come away with a point. And it's going to be. And if they do come away with a point, that they've worked hard and they've battled hard and they've fought into the very last second to get that and to earn it. So that's what I'm going to go with, a 2-2.
Okay, there you go. Like I say, across the panel there, we've got our predictions for that. Just to close it on this point, what I do want to say, January transfer window is obviously looming around the corner now. So just bringing up to like where we stand with Tottenham, we understand Spurs want to sign a centre-back and central midfielder in January, although they are open also to signing a forward. But the attack is not the priority, we're being told at the moment. Lloyd Kelly's injury problems are expected to put Spurs off the potential buying the player. Kelly's been a target for Spurs, but his injury problems have been a concern. Although insiders believe it will make a lot of sense for Tottenham to make that January move for former Celtic winger, Jota on loan for the rest of the season. Spurs have shown interest in Nice centre-back Jean-Claire Todibo, one to keep an eye on, along with Radu Dragosin of Genoa. Spurs also looking at options Mark Gahey and Jared Brace, other alternatives at centre-back. And there are moves being initiated, we understand, for Bilal El Kounas of KRC Genk, Belgian player who is a latest discovery of being a real star for the future. In terms of outgoings, we understand Eric Dyer could leave Tottenham in the upcoming January transfer window after being dropped for the Aston Villa defeat. Spurs, of course, as we mentioned, they're making a centre-back their top priority of the window. And as things stand at the moment, which probably makes sense on the back of the Bentancur injury, Spurs are not open to letting Pierre-Emile Højbjerg leave on loan in January. Again, look, we're still a month or so away. Things can change. But look, let's close it on this, actually, if I can. And January window very quickly. How important is it Spurs act fast? When I tell you, Ant, you know me reminding you, telling you this. When you look at the windows previously for Tottenham in January, Pedro Porro, last day of the transfer window of January. A January before that, Bentancur Kulusevski, last day of the January window before that. How important and business gets done early January?
Important. It's so important. And I think I've read Ange and the sporting director guy have already been planning. So
Johan Lange,
positive. So yeah, get them in ASAP, because the games are going to come thick and fast.
Absolutely. I do agree. Chris, apart from the fact you'd love a Jack Grealish on loan or get him into the end of the season, how important is it, Chris, that Spurs do act fast in this January window? Already have these targets lined up to bring in because, I've said this and preached for a long time. You guys know how important the cup competitions are to me. You've all been on here for cup games. Rick, bless him, he's still getting therapy for them. But the joking aside is that, Spurs have got the first round of the FA Cup early Jan. The next round after that is the end of Jan. How important is it for you, Chris, that Spurs act decisively in the market and move early?
Quickly, ASAP, same as Ant has just said, especially like you just said as well with the FA Cup. To me, that's my priority. I think we really need to make the FA Cup our priority this season. I've been top 4. There is a chance there. Obviously, we're not going to win the league, but I really want to.
We're not going to win it. Costa's going to kill me after this.
No, Lee might,
Lee might, yeah, you're right. Lee McMacker might.
But honestly, I really think FA Cup is a really big chance for us. And, we haven't got, European games at the moment. There's not really excuses in that sense. Obviously, it is the injury. But if we've got January coming up where we can get something, then let's just do it. If we want to be a serious team, then show it. Let's do it. Yep. And not even that. The fact that there's already discussion with people that they are looking into, again, it just shows, it gives me more faith in Ange because it's just that they're already looking, they're already seeing what else, what is out there that we can build on this team. He's already seeing that. He's already identifying players. So to me, again, it's good. It's good to hear that. But it's if it's going to get paid and done. And we want it done quickly. I don't want any of this last minute thing anymore because it's just I can't bear it. It's not good for our health, guys. Like, it's really not good. And once it's done early, then it's just something that we can look forward to. Like I can't stand the late signings anymore. It's just not for me anymore.
Well, not when we've got, like, say, 10 out at the moment. Rix, let's close it with you, my man. Rix, again, we emphasise important on these shows. You look at the windows that come along. Again, we've said about the fact Ange is in the middle of a project now. It's a process. It's going to take its time. If ever this man deserves backing for the start he had, Rix, God, surely deserves it for that start he gave us to the season, right? The unbelievable wins that we saw, the performances that we saw as well. This is now a time to really show you're behind him and give him the players that he needs to make this work, Rick, surely?
I mean, if you're going to back anybody, you've got to back Ange Postecoglou. You have to. I think that you've already seen what he brings to Tottenham Hotspur. You've already seen how he improves players, the ones that are there and the ones that he's brought in. You've already seen his style of play, and you already know that if he's got the tools to play with, then what a side this Tottenham side could be. So you've absolutely got, if you're going to back anybody, if you're going to invest in anybody, you invest in Ange, and you invest right now. You do it for the January transfer window. It's going to be tough because before, when we was in a bit of a position of strength where we had our first 11 there, and whoever we was going to buy in January would have added to what we already have. We're in a desperate place right now where we're all fretting over any other new injury to happen within that squad. We're fretting right now. So we're going to be in a desperate state when we do get to January, and other clubs will know that. And especially when you're dealing with a Premiership club that are looking to achieve something, that are on the up but need players in. So it's going to take very clever transfers, whether that be loans or frees or whatever the case may be for a period of time. But also those that we do end up investing in, be prepared for the goalposts to be changed at the very last second. When we've agreed a £30 million deal, just when we're about to sign it, they're going to say, well, we want 40 now. So be prepared for that. I mean, we know how Levy acts when he comes into conflict with somebody else who's another tough negotiator.
Yep.
So I can be patient for the right player. I know negotiations have to happen, and I know these things happen. Lastminute.com. So as long as it's a player that can improve the first team and somebody that Ange Postecoglou wants, I am 100% behind it. I don't want to just get players for get players' sake.
Yep.
And just have a bit of understanding with the whole transfer window, because everybody, me included, would want everything done on that first day, but we all know it's not going to happen on the first day. So let's breathe, let's go with it. And as long as they're in early enough that we can kind of bed them in, I think it'll be a positive.
Ricks, thank you so much, my man. We know you've got a very, very early start. We can't thank you enough. We're keeping our fingers, toes, everything crossed for you, mate. Keep up the wonderful work on the ice. Like I say, the countdown is on. Love from us all here, Ricks. Thank you so much as always, my man. Top man. And we know, like I say, lots going on in your world right now. Pantomime, Mamma Mia. We will try and drop the links below to all these wonderful viewers and listeners that might want to come and check you out. And fingers crossed, Spurs are still flying, and bless you. And Chris, thank you so much. Look, I've got to say, guys, that it's difficult to be positive sometimes when you're on the back of 3 defeats, City to come. But I think we all recognise here, as we've all said, we're part of a journey, we're part of a process. It's going to take time. We've all got the right man, but there's no harm, as I said at the top of the show, at times to not seek a little bit of compromising. There's nothing wrong with that, and you shouldn't feel bad to ask for that. And again, look, we all love the man. We all want him to be successful. We all love Spurs playing that swashbuckling style of football. Long may that continue. But remember, 10 players out. It's unprecedented. How can you plan for a situation like this? Only Tottenham Hotspur. Only Tottenham. Like I say, from all of us here, guys, for the wonderful Ricky J. Norwood, for the superb Antony Costa, for the brilliant Christina Zandes, we've been the last one on Spurs. We urge you to keep safe, keep well. Look forward to Sunday. Behind the sofa.